It was a crisp morning in California, the kind where the sun peeked through the clouds just enough to make everything feel alive. Elon Musk, the billionaire entrepreneur known for his groundbreaking work with Tesla, SpaceX, and more, was preparing for what seemed like just another day. But this day would turn out to be anything but ordinary. Little did anyone know, he was about to do something that would leave the world in awe. Elon had always been a man of big ideas and even bigger actions. He often spoke about changing the world, not just through technology but by making a real difference in people's lives. Over the past few months, he had been unusually quiet on social media, which was rare for someone who loved sharing his thoughts with the world. People wondered what he was up to. Was he working on a new rocket? A secret project? No one could have guessed what was coming. The story begins in a small town, far from the glitz and glamour of Silicon Valley. In this town lived a young boy who had a passion for science and space. He spent his days reading books about the universe, building small rockets out of cardboard, and dreaming of one day working for SpaceX. His family didn't have much, but they supported his dreams as best as they could. The boy's teachers often praised his curiosity and determination, but they also knew how hard it was for someone from his background to break into the world of science and technology. One day, the boy's school received a mysterious email. It was from someone at SpaceX, inviting the students to a special event. The email didn't give many details, but it mentioned that Elon Musk himself would be there. The entire town buzzed with excitement. No one could believe that someone as famous as Elon would visit their small community. The boy, of course, was over the moon. He couldn't wait to meet his idol. When the day of the event arrived, the school auditorium was packed. Parents, teachers, and students filled every seat, their eyes glued to the stage. The atmosphere was electric. Everyone was curious about why Elon Musk had chosen their town for this visit. As the lights dimmed, Elon walked onto the stage, dressed in his usual casual attire, a black t-shirt and jeans. The crowd erupted into applause. Elon smiled and began to speak. He talked about his own childhood, how he had always been fascinated by science and how he had faced many challenges along the way. He spoke about the importance of dreaming big and never giving up, no matter how impossible things seemed. The audience hung on to his every word. But then, he paused and looked out at the crowd. "Today," he said, "I'm not here just to talk. I'm here to give back." The room fell silent. No one knew what he meant. Elon continued, "I've been following the stories of some incredible young minds in this town. Kids who have big dreams but not always the resources to chase them. So, I've decided to do something about it." He gestured to someone off stage, and a large screen lit up behind him. On it was a list of names, students from the school who had been selected for a special program. The boy's name was at the top of the list. The program, Elon explained, would provide full scholarships to these students, covering their education from high school all the way through college. But that wasn't all. They would also get the chance to intern at SpaceX, work with some of the brightest minds in the industry, and even visit the company's headquarters. The crowd was stunned. No one had expected something like this. The boy's parents, sitting in the audience, had tears in their eyes. This was a dream come true for their son. As the event came to an end, Elon took the time to meet each of the selected students personally. When he reached the boy, he knelt down to his level and looked him in the eye. "I've heard a lot about you," Elon said with a smile. "Keep dreaming big. The world needs people like you." The boy could barely speak. He just nodded, his heart bursting with gratitude and excitement. That night, as the town celebrated, the boy lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. His mind raced with possibilities. He thought about all the things he could learn, the people he would meet, and the dreams he could finally chase. For the first time in his life, he felt like the universe was on his side. And it was all thanks to an unexpected gift from a man who believed in the power of dreams. Little did anyone know, this was just the beginning. Elon Musk's visit would set off a chain of events that would change not just the boy's life, but the lives of everyone in the town. And as the days went by, more surprises were in store, surprises that would leave the world speechless. The days following Elon Musk's visit were a whirlwind of excitement for the small town. News of his generosity spread like wildfire, not just locally but across the country. The selected students, including the young boy with big dreams, became overnight celebrities in their community. People stopped them on the street to congratulate them, and local newspapers ran stories about their incredible opportunity. But for the boy, the reality of what had happened was still sinking in. He couldn't believe that someone like Elon Musk had noticed him, let alone given him a chance to chase his dreams. The first step of the program was a trip to SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. For the boy and the other students, this was like stepping into another world. They had seen pictures of SpaceX's facilities online, but nothing could prepare them for the real thing. The massive hangars, the gleaming rockets, and the bustling engineers, it was like something out of a sci-fi movie. The students were given a tour of the facility, where they got to see the Falcon rockets up close and even meet some of the engineers who worked on them. The boy's eyes were wide with wonder as he listened to the engineers explain how the rockets were built and how they worked. He asked question after question, soaking up every bit of information like a sponge. But the real surprise came when Elon Musk himself joined the tour. He walked in casually, as if it were just another day at the office, and greeted the students with a warm smile. "I hope you're enjoying the tour," he said. "This is where the future is being built, and one day, you could be a part of it." The students were speechless. They couldn't believe they were standing in the same room as the man who had inspired so many of them. Elon spent the next hour talking to the students, answering their questions, and sharing stories about his own journey. He spoke about the failures he had faced along the way and how he had learned from them. "Failure is just a stepping stone to success," he said. "Don't be afraid to take risks and make mistakes. That's how you learn and grow." The boy listened intently, hanging on to every word. He had always admired Elon from afar, but now, seeing him in person and hearing his advice, he felt even more inspired. After the tour, the students were taken to a conference room where they were given a special presentation about SpaceX's upcoming projects. They learned about the Starship program, which aimed to send humans to Mars, and the Starlink project, which was working to provide internet access to remote areas around the world. The boy's mind was blown. He had read about these projects online, but hearing about them directly from the people working on them was a completely different experience. He couldn't wait to be a part of something like this one day. As the day came to an end, Elon had one more surprise for the students. He announced that they would each be paired with a mentor from SpaceX, a senior engineer or scientist who would guide them through their education and help them prepare for a career in the industry. The boy's mentor was a woman who had worked on the Falcon 9 rocket. She was kind, patient, and incredibly knowledgeable, and she immediately took a liking to the boy. "You remind me of myself when I was your age," she told him. "You have that same spark, that same curiosity. Don't ever lose it." The boy felt a surge of confidence. For the first time in his life, he felt like he belonged somewhere. He had always been the odd one out in his town, the kid who spent hours reading about space while his friends played sports. But here, among people who shared his passion, he felt at home. He knew this was just the beginning of his journey, but he was ready to give it everything he had. Back in his hometown, life began to change for the boy and his family. The scholarship Elon had provided meant that they no longer had to worry about how they would pay for his education. His parents, who had always worked long hours to make ends meet, could finally breathe a little easier. The boy's teachers noticed a change in him too. He was more focused, more determined, and more confident than ever before. He started a science club at his school, where he shared what he had learned at SpaceX with his classmates. He wanted to inspire them the way Elon had inspired him. But the boy's journey was just one part of the story. Elon's visit had sparked something in the entire town. People started to believe that anything was possible. Local businesses donated money to improve the school's science programs, and volunteers came forward to mentor students. The town, which had once felt forgotten, was now buzzing with hope and ambition. As the weeks went by, the boy kept in touch with his mentor at SpaceX. She sent him books, articles, and even small projects to work on. He spent hours every day learning, experimenting, and dreaming about the future. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but he was ready for the challenge. He had seen what was possible, and he was determined to make the most of the opportunity he had been given. Meanwhile, Elon Musk continued to follow the boy's progress. He had been impressed by the boy's passion and determination during their meeting, and he wanted to make sure he had everything he needed to succeed. But Elon had even bigger plans in store, plans that would take the world by surprise once again. As the weeks turned into months, the young boy's life continued to transform in ways he could never have imagined. The mentorship program with SpaceX had opened doors he didn't even know existed. His mentor, a brilliant engineer named Dr. Patel, had become a guiding light in his life. She didn't just teach him about rockets and space, she taught him how to think critically, solve problems, and never stop asking questions. The boy's confidence grew with each passing day, and his dreams felt more tangible than ever. One afternoon, while working on a small rocket design project Dr. Patel had assigned him, the boy received an unexpected email. It was from Elon Musk's office. His heart raced as he opened it. The email was brief but exciting. Elon wanted to invite him and the other scholarship students to a special event at SpaceX headquarters. The details were vague, but the tone suggested it was something big. The boy couldn't wait to share the news with his family and teachers. Everyone in town was thrilled for him, and the local newspaper even ran a follow-up story about his journey. When the day of the event arrived, the boy and the other students were flown to California. They were greeted at SpaceX by a team of friendly staff members who led them to a large auditorium. The room was filled with engineers, scientists, and journalists. The buzz in the air was electric. Everyone could sense that something important was about to happen. Elon Musk walked onto the stage, and the room fell silent. He looked out at the audience with a smile and began to speak. "A few months ago, I visited a small town and met some incredible young minds," he said. "Today, I want to show you what happens when we invest in the next generation." He paused, letting his words sink in, and then gestured to the large screen behind him. It lit up with a video showcasing the students' journey, from their humble beginnings to their time at SpaceX. The boy's heart swelled with pride as he saw himself on the screen, working on his rocket project and talking passionately about his dreams. But the real surprise was yet to come. Elon announced that SpaceX was launching a new initiative called Starship Scholars, a global program designed to identify and support young talent from underserved communities. The program would provide scholarships, mentorship, and hands-on experience at SpaceX facilities around the world. The boy and the other students from his town would be the first cohort. The audience erupted into applause, and the students looked at each other in disbelief. This was bigger than anything they had imagined. Elon then turned to the boy and said, "I've been following your progress, and I have to say, you've impressed me. You've shown that with the right opportunities, anyone can achieve greatness." The boy felt a lump in his throat. He had worked so hard, and to hear those words from someone he admired so much meant the world to him. After the announcement, the students were invited to a reception where they got to mingle with SpaceX employees and other guests. The boy found himself surrounded by people who wanted to hear his story. He talked about his love for space, his journey so far, and his hopes for the future. For the first time, he felt like his voice mattered. But the surprises didn't end there. Later that evening, Elon pulled the boy aside for a private conversation. "I have something else for you," he said with a twinkle in his eye. He handed the boy a small, sleek device. It was a prototype of a new educational tool SpaceX was developing, a portable lab that allowed students to conduct experiments and learn about science and engineering in a hands-on way. "This is for you," Elon said. "I want you to test it out and give us your feedback. You're the kind of person we built this for." The boy was speechless. He held the device in his hands, marveling at its design. It was lightweight, with a touchscreen interface and various ports for connecting sensors and tools. He couldn't wait to start using it. "Thank you," he finally managed to say. "I won't let you down." Elon smiled and patted him on the shoulder. "I know you won't." Back in his hometown, the boy's life continued to change. The portable lab became his most prized possession. He used it to conduct experiments, build prototypes, and even teach his classmates. His science club grew in popularity, and soon, students from neighboring towns were joining in. The boy's teachers noticed how much he had grown, not just in knowledge but in leadership. He was no longer just a dreamer, he was a doer. The Starship Scholars program also began to take shape. Applications poured in from around the world, and the boy was invited to help review some of them. He was amazed by the stories he read, stories of kids from all walks of life who shared his passion for science and technology. It made him realize how many others out there were just like him, waiting for an opportunity to shine. As the boy's journey continued, he couldn't help but feel a sense of responsibility. He knew he had been given a rare opportunity, and he was determined to make the most of it. He started a blog where he shared his experiences, hoping to inspire others to chase their dreams no matter how impossible they seemed. His story began to gain traction online, and soon, he was receiving messages from people all over the world who had been inspired by his journey. But amidst all the excitement, the boy never forgot where he came from. He remained humble and grounded, always remembering the small town that had supported him from the beginning. He made a promise to himself that one day, he would give back to his community in the same way Elon Musk had given to him. Meanwhile, Elon continued to keep an eye on the boy's progress. He was proud of what the young scholar had accomplished and knew that this was just the beginning. But Elon had even bigger plans in store, plans that would not only change the boy's life but could potentially change the world. The boy's life had become a whirlwind of activity. Between his schoolwork, his science club, and his ongoing mentorship with Dr. Patel at SpaceX, he barely had a moment to spare. But he loved every second of it. The portable lab Elon had given him had become his constant companion. He used it to conduct experiments, build small-scale models of rockets, and even create a mini-satellite prototype. His blog, where he documented his journey and shared his learnings, had gained a significant following. People from all over the world reached out to him, sharing their own stories and thanking him for inspiring them. One day, as the boy was working on a new project, he received another email from Elon's office. This time, it was an invitation to attend a major SpaceX event, the launch of the Starship, the company's most ambitious project yet. The Starship was designed to carry humans to Mars, and this launch was a critical step in making that dream a reality. The boy could hardly believe it. He had read about the Starship in countless articles and watched videos about its development, but now he was going to see it in person. When the day of the launch arrived, the boy and his family were flown to SpaceX's launch site in Texas. The atmosphere was electric. Reporters, scientists, and space enthusiasts from around the world had gathered to witness the historic event. The boy was given a special pass that allowed him access to areas usually restricted to the public. He couldn't believe his luck. As he walked through the facility, he saw engineers making last-minute adjustments to the Starship, their faces a mix of excitement and nervousness. It was a reminder of how much was at stake. Elon Musk greeted the boy and his family personally. "This is a big day for all of us," he said. "But it's also a big day for you. You're part of this journey now." The boy felt a surge of pride. He had worked so hard to get to this point, and now he was standing alongside the people who were shaping the future of space exploration. As the countdown began, the boy held his breath. The starship stood tall on the launch pad, its sleek design gleaming in the sunlight. The crowd fell silent as the final seconds ticked away. Then, with a roar that shook the ground, the starship lifted off. The boy watched in awe as it soared into the sky, leaving a trail of fire and smoke behind it. It was the most incredible thing he had ever seen. The launch was a success. The starship reached its intended altitude, and the crowd erupted into cheers. Elon Musk took the stage to address the audience. "Today, we've taken another step toward making life multiplanetary," he said. "But this is just the beginning. The future belongs to the next generation, to people like the young scholars we've been supporting. They are the ones who will take us to Mars and beyond." The boy felt a lump in his throat. He had always dreamed of being part of something bigger than himself, and now he was. But he also knew that this was just the start. There was still so much to learn, so much to achieve. After the launch, the boy was invited to a private meeting with Elon and a few other key figures at SpaceX. They discussed the future of the Starship program and the role young scholars like him could play in it. Elon surprised everyone by announcing that he wanted to create a new division within SpaceX, a team of young innovators who would work on cutting-edge projects alongside seasoned engineers. The boy was offered a spot on the team. It was an incredible opportunity, but it also came with a lot of responsibility. The boy knew he had a big decision to make. Joining the team would mean moving to California and dedicating himself fully to the program. It would be a huge change, not just for him but for his family. He talked it over with his parents, who assured him they would support him no matter what. "This is your dream," his father said. "We'll make it work." With his family's blessing, the boy accepted the offer. He packed his bags and moved to California, where he was given a small apartment near the SpaceX facility. The transition wasn't easy. He missed his hometown, his friends, and the familiar routines of his old life. But he was determined to make the most of this opportunity. The Young Innovators team was a diverse group of talented individuals from around the world. They came from different backgrounds but shared a common passion for science and technology. The boy quickly formed friendships with his teammates, and together they dove into their work. Their first project was to design a new type of propulsion system for the Starship. It was a challenging task, but the boy thrived on the challenge. He spent long hours in the lab, running simulations, testing prototypes, and collaborating with his teammates. As the weeks went by, the boy's confidence grew. He was no longer just a student, he was an innovator, a problem solver, a dreamer who was turning his dreams into reality. He knew he was part of something historic, something that could change the course of human history. But amidst all the excitement, the boy never forgot where he came from. He stayed in touch with his family and friends back home, sharing updates about his work and encouraging them to chase their own dreams. He also continued to write his blog, using it as a platform to inspire others and share the lessons he had learned along the way. Meanwhile, Elon Musk kept a close eye on the Young Innovators team. He was impressed by their progress and knew they were on the brink of something extraordinary. But he also had a bigger vision in mind, a vision that would take the world by surprise once again. The boy's life in California had settled into a rhythm. His days were filled with intense work at SpaceX, collaborating with his team on the propulsion system project, and his evenings were spent exploring his new city or video calling his family back home. He had grown accustomed to the fast-paced environment, but every now and then, he would pause and marvel at how far he had come. From a small-town dreamer to a key member of a groundbreaking team at SpaceX, it was almost too much to process. One morning, as the boy arrived at the SpaceX facility, he noticed an unusual buzz in the air. Engineers and scientists were huddled in groups, talking excitedly. He soon found out why. Elon Musk had called for an all-hands meeting. The entire company was to gather in the main auditorium. The boy's heart raced. Elon didn't call meetings like this unless something big was happening. The auditorium was packed when the boy arrived. He found a seat near the front, next to his teammates. The room was abuzz with speculation. Was it about the Starship program? A new project? No one knew for sure. When Elon walked onto the stage, the room fell silent. He looked out at the crowd, his expression serious but with a hint of excitement. Today, Elon began, I want to talk about the future. Not just the future of SpaceX, but the future of humanity. He paused, letting his words sink in. We've made incredible progress with the Starship program, but there's still so much more to do. And I believe the key to our success lies in the next generation, people like the young innovators we've brought into this company. The boy felt a surge of pride. He knew Elon was talking about him and his team. But what came next left him, and everyone else in the room, completely stunned. Elon announced that SpaceX was launching a new initiative called the Mars Pioneers program. The goal was to send a group of young, talented individuals to Mars within the next decade to establish the first human colony. These pioneers would be trained in everything from engineering and agriculture to medicine and leadership. They would be the ones to lay the foundation for a new civilization on the Red Planet. The room erupted into gasps and murmurs. This was unlike anything anyone had expected. Elon continued, this isn't just about technology. It's about humanity. It's about taking the next step in our evolution as a species. And I believe the young innovators we've brought into this company are the perfect candidates to lead this mission. The boy's mind was racing. Could this be real? Was Elon actually suggesting that he and his team could go to Mars? It sounded like something out of a science fiction movie. But as he looked around the room, he saw the same mix of disbelief and excitement on everyone's faces. This was real. This was happening. After the meeting, the boy and his team were invited to a private briefing with Elon and a few senior executives. They were given more details about the Mars Pioneers program. The selection process would be rigorous, involving physical, mental, and technical evaluations. Those chosen would undergo years of training before the mission. It was a daunting prospect, but also an incredible opportunity. Elon looked at the boy and his teammates. This won't be easy, he said. It will require everything you've got, and more. But I believe in you. I believe you have what it takes to make this happen. The boy felt a mix of emotions, excitement, fear, determination. Going to Mars had always been a distant dream, something he had read about in books and watched in documentaries. But now, it felt within reach. He knew it would be the challenge of a lifetime, but he also knew he couldn't pass it up. Over the next few weeks, the boy and his team threw themselves into the selection process. They underwent physical fitness tests, psychological evaluations, and technical assessments. They spent long hours in simulations, learning how to operate in zero gravity and how to handle emergencies on Mars. It was exhausting, but also exhilarating. The boy had never felt more alive. As the selection process progressed, the boy couldn't help but think about his family and friends back home. He knew they would be worried about him, but he also knew they would support him. He called his parents one evening and told them about the program. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Finally, his father spoke. "We're proud of you, son," he said. "No matter what you decide, we'll be behind you." The boy's heart swelled with gratitude. He knew he was lucky to have such a supportive family. It gave him the strength to keep going, even when the training felt overwhelming. Finally, the day came when the selection results were announced. The boy and his team gathered in the SpaceX auditorium, their nerves on edge. Elon walked onto the stage, holding a sealed envelope. He looked out at the crowd, his expression unreadable. "The decision wasn't easy," he said. "But I'm proud to announce the first group of Mars pioneers." He opened the envelope and began reading the names. The boy held his breath. When his name was called, he felt a rush of emotions, relief, joy, and a touch of fear. He had made it. He was going to Mars. The room erupted into applause. The boy's teammates hugged him, and Elon walked over to shake his hand. "I knew you had it in you," Elon said with a smile. "This is just the beginning." As the boy celebrated with his team, he couldn't help but think about the journey ahead. Going to Mars would be the adventure of a lifetime, but it would also be a huge responsibility. He knew he had a lot to learn and a lot to prepare for. But he was ready. He had been given an incredible opportunity, and he was determined to make the most of it. Meanwhile, Elon Musk watched the celebrations with a sense of pride. He knew the Mars Pioneers program was a bold move, but he also knew it was the right one. The future of humanity depended on taking risks, on pushing boundaries, on dreaming big. And he believed the young innovators he had brought into SpaceX were the ones who could make it happen. But even as the program took shape, Elon had one more surprise in store, a surprise that would change everything. The boy's life had become a whirlwind of preparation and training. As one of the first Mars pioneers, he was now part of an elite group tasked with making humanity's dream of colonizing Mars a reality. The training was intense, covering everything from advanced engineering and space navigation to survival skills and teamwork. Every day brought new challenges, but the boy embraced them with determination. He knew this was his chance to be part of something historic, something that could change the course of human history. One of the most exciting parts of the training was the time spent in the Mars simulation habitat. Located in a remote desert, the habitat was designed to mimic the conditions on Mars as closely as possible. The boy and his team spent weeks there, learning how to grow food, recycle water, and maintain equipment in a harsh environment. It was a grueling experience, but it also brought the team closer together. They had to rely on each other, trust each other, and work together to overcome the challenges they faced. During one of their simulation missions, the boy had a moment of clarity. As he stood outside the habitat, looking at the vast, barren landscape, he realized just how big this mission was. It wasn't just about going to Mars, it was about creating a new home for humanity. It was about ensuring the survival of the human race. The weight of that responsibility was overwhelming, but it also filled him with a sense of purpose. He knew he was part of something much bigger than himself. Back at SpaceX headquarters, Elon Musk was closely monitoring the progress of the Mars pioneers. He was impressed by their dedication and resilience. But he also knew that the journey to Mars would require more than just technical skills and physical endurance. It would require vision, creativity, and the ability to think outside the box. That's why he had one more surprise in store for the team. One evening, after a long day of training, the boy and his team were called to a meeting with Elon. They had no idea what to expect. When they walked into the conference room, they found Elon standing at the front, a large screen behind him. He greeted them with a smile and got straight to the point. "You've all been working incredibly hard," he said. "And I'm proud of what you've accomplished so far. But I want to give you something that will take your training to the next level." He pressed a button on the remote in his hand, and the screen lit up with a video. It showed a sleek, futuristic spacecraft unlike anything the boy had ever seen. "This," Elon said, "is the Starship X. It's the next generation of spacecraft, designed specifically for the Mars mission. It's faster, more efficient, and equipped with the latest technology. And it's yours to use for the rest of your training." The room erupted into gasps and excited chatter. The boy couldn't believe his eyes. The Starship X was a marvel of engineering, with its sleek design and advanced features. He had read about it in articles, but seeing it up close was a completely different experience. Elon continued, "The Starship X will allow you to train in conditions that are as close to Mars as possible. You'll be able to test your skills, run simulations, and prepare for the real mission in ways that were never possible before. This is your chance to push the boundaries of what's possible. The boy felt a surge of excitement. This was a game changer. With the Starship X, they could take their training to a whole new level. He couldn't wait to get started. Over the next few weeks, the boy and his team spent every waking moment on the Starship X. They ran countless simulations, testing everything from navigation systems to life support. They practiced landing on Mars, setting up the habitat, and even dealing with emergencies. The boy was in his element, soaking up every bit of knowledge and experience. But the training wasn't just about technical skills. Elon had also arranged for the team to meet with experts in various fields: scientists, engineers, psychologists, and even artists. The goal was to prepare them for every aspect of life on Mars, from the practical to the emotional. The boy found these sessions incredibly valuable. They gave him a deeper understanding of what it would take to build a new civilization on another planet. As the training progressed, the boy couldn't help but think about the people back home. He knew they were following his journey, cheering him on from afar. He made a point of staying in touch with his family and friends, sharing updates and photos from his training. Their support meant the world to him, and it gave him the strength to keep going, even when the challenges seemed insurmountable. One evening, as the boy was reviewing data from a recent simulation, he received a message from Elon. It was a simple invitation: meet me at the observation deck. The boy's curiosity was piqued. He made his way to the observation deck, where he found Elon standing by the window, looking out at the stars. "I wanted to talk to you," Elon said as the boy approached. "You've come a long way, and I'm impressed by what you've accomplished. But I want to remind you of something. This mission isn't just about technology or science. It's about humanity. It's about taking the best of who we are and bringing it to a new world. Never forget that." The boy nodded, feeling the weight of Elon's words. He knew this mission was about more than just reaching Mars. It was about creating a better future for humanity. And he was determined to do his part. As the boy left the observation deck, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. He knew the journey ahead would be challenging, but he also knew he was ready. He had the skills, the knowledge, and the support of his team. And he had the vision to see beyond the challenges, to the incredible possibilities that lay ahead. But even as he prepared for the mission, the boy couldn't shake the feeling that there was still more to come. Elon Musk had a way of surprising people, and the boy had a feeling that the biggest surprise was yet to come. The final months of training were a blur of activity. The boy and his team had mastered the Starship X, running countless simulations and refining their skills. They had grown into a tight-knit group, relying on each other's strengths and supporting one another through the challenges. The boy had never felt more prepared, but he also knew that nothing could fully prepare them for the reality of Mars. It was a leap into the unknown, and that thought both excited and terrified him. One morning, as the team gathered for their daily briefing, Elon Musk walked into the room. His presence always commanded attention, but today, there was something different about him. He had a look of quiet determination, as if he were about to share something monumental. The room fell silent as he began to speak. "You've all worked incredibly hard," Elon said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "You've pushed yourselves beyond your limits, and you've proven that you have what it takes to make this mission a success. But before you embark on this journey, I want to give you something, a gift that represents not just the future, but the spirit of what we're trying to achieve." He gestured to a large screen behind him, which lit up with a stunning image of Mars. But it wasn't just any image. It was a live feed from a rover on the Martian surface. The boy's eyes widened as he realized what he was seeing. The rover was moving, its camera panning across the rocky terrain. And then, something incredible happened. The rover stopped near a small, metallic object embedded in the ground. As the camera zoomed in, the boy could see that it was a plaque. On it were engraved the words, to the pioneers of a new world. May your courage and vision inspire generations to come. Below the words was a list of names, the names of the Mars pioneers, including the boys. The room erupted into gasps and murmurs. The boy felt a lump in his throat. This wasn't just a gift, it was a symbol of their mission, a reminder of the legacy they were about to create. Elon had sent the plaque to Mars ahead of them, a silent promise that they would soon follow. "This is your legacy," Elon said, his voice filled with pride. "You're not just going to Mars to explore. You're going to build a new home, a new future. And this plaque is a reminder of the responsibility you carry, not just to yourselves, but to all of humanity." The boy felt a surge of emotion. He had always known this mission was bigger than himself, but now, it felt real in a way it never had before. He looked around at his teammates and saw the same mix of awe and determination on their faces. They were ready. They were more than ready. As the days counted down to the launch, the boy took some time to reflect. He thought about his journey, from a small-town dreamer to a Mars pioneer. He thought about the people who had supported him along the way, his family, his teachers, his mentor Dr. Patel, and of course, Elon Musk. He thought about the challenges they had overcome and the ones that still lay ahead. And he thought about the future, not just his own, but the future of humanity. On the day of the launch, the boy and his team stood on the launch pad, dressed in their sleek, white spacesuits. The Starship X loomed above them, a towering symbol of human ingenuity and ambition. The boy's heart raced as he climbed into the spacecraft, taking his seat alongside his teammates. The countdown began, and the boy closed his eyes, taking a deep breath. 10. 9. 8. He thought about his family, watching from home. He thought about the plaque on Mars, waiting for them. He thought about the future they were about to create. 3. 2. 1. Liftoff. The roar of the engines was deafening, and the force of the launch pressed the boy into his seat. He opened his eyes and looked out the window as the Earth fell away beneath them. The sky turned from blue to black, and the stars came into view. It was the most incredible sight he had ever seen. As the Starship X soared into space, the boy felt a sense of peace. He knew the journey ahead would be long and challenging, but he also knew they were ready. They had trained for this moment, and they had each other. Together, they would face whatever challenges came their way. Back on Earth, Elon Musk watched the launch from the control room. He felt a mix of pride and hope as the Starship X disappeared into the vastness of space. This was the culmination of years of hard work, but it was also just the beginning. The Mars pioneers were on their way, and with them, the future of humanity. As the boy and his team settled into their journey, they knew they were part of something historic. They were the pioneers of a new world, the ones who would lay the foundation for a new civilization. And as they looked out at the stars, they knew that the best was yet to come. The boy smiled, feeling a sense of fulfillment he had never known before. He had been given an incredible gift, not just the opportunity to go to Mars, but the chance to make a difference, to leave a legacy that would inspire generations to come. And as the Starship X hurtled toward the red planet, he knew that this was just the beginning of an extraordinary adventure.